Excited about this, folks. In the last couple of minutes we have, this is a great story. Many of you know that we first became aware of the fraud that is taking place in Minnesota, and it was by chance. Somehow or another we found out that these folks in Minnesota were, especially in the Somali community, were using our tax dollars to line their pockets. And then there was a kid, his name was, I think is Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley went and he did an investigation. He found out that not only were they screwing us for a few $100,000, or it was closer to $20 billion. It went over to California. We find out that Minnesota was just small potatoes. It's California now. California's got to be $100 billion because it's so many more. They've got a whole apartment complex where there are 50 businesses lined up one by one in these apartments, and there's nobody in them. And they're all getting millions and millions and millions of dollars. And out front of it, they got Cadillacs, and you got all these great cars, Audis and stuff like that. Well, a whistleblower in Minnesota decided to speak on being targeted for alleged fraud finding. And this is a very interesting story. Rich McHughes wrote this story just today. Years before recent fraud allegations surfaced in Minnesota, a whistleblower warned of social services fraud happening in the state. So years before Nick Shirley, years before all of this came to light, a guy came forward and he says, stuff is happening here. Now he's breaking his silence after years in hiding. He's a whistleblower. He's been hiding. Why has he been hiding? I stand by my allegations, Scott Stillman said. I stand by my claim about the $100 million. It could be higher. I stand by my claim that this money is going overseas into hands that could be detrimental to the United States, he said in 2018 to the Minnesota House of Representatives. 2018. That's 6 years ago. So he went before the Minnesota House of Representatives 6 years ago and told them that there was money going out of our country and it's going to people who are not on our side. Scott Stillman was a digital forensic supervisor with the Minnesota Department of Human Services from 2007 to 2017. He testified, folks. He testified before the Minnesota Senate and House in 2017 and 2018 about his findings. Believe me, he says, Minnesota's government programs are being victimized. That would be you and I also, folks. So it's not just Minnesota. It's you and I are being victimized by organized crime because of lack of controls, he said in his testimony. I would like to request a federal investigation of how these programs are being run and managed at DHS. This is amazing. This guy finally comes out of hiding because guess what? As the story goes on, he started being vilified. Stillman was the first to blow the whistle on what he and his colleagues uncovered as early as 2015. Oh my gosh. Fake daycares allegedly defrauding Medicaid of millions. I got to read some more of this. Every time I did a search warrant, every single time, he says, we went through the door during business hours, there were never any children in there ever, he says. It was set up with tables and chairs and toys, but they appeared disused, dusty. I never saw a child in any of those. Wow. Members of the Somali community ran every daycare he investigated. I'm going to read that again. He says, members of the Somali community ran every daycare he investigated. This was fraud and other issues on a scale I've never, ever encountered before, Stillman said. He told News Nation the centers would bill Monday through Monday, including holidays and weekends, with billing for 12 hours and sometimes 24 hours a day. Oh my gosh. You see no children coming and going. and you realize you can look at the logs and they're billing for 100 kids a day. Oh my gosh. This is 2015. This is 11 years ago these guys have been doing this. You realize they're billing DHS, the state of Nevada, the state of Minnesota, the taxpayers of Minnesota, for services that never ever received. It was egregious. I want to get this. I want to wrap a bow on this because we're running over here, folks. Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman from this area where most of this is happening, have all stood there with their hands raised high and their flags waving in front of them and going, "Oh no, we're standing behind our Somali community because they're not doing nothing wrong." This is BS, folks. Not just BS, it's BS beyond belief. And a whistleblower, not a Trump supporter, but a whistleblower started this back in 2015 and brought it up in front of both houses of Congress in Minnesota and told them this is egregious, is on a scale unheard of. And he had to go in hiding because he was the retribution, the vilification that hit him was way far worse than happened to Nick Shirley. The guy had to go into hiding because of it. Somebody's got to go on the offensive on this. Somebody's got to figure out why and who and how deep this rabbit hole goes, folks. Because we, the taxpayers, we demand answers for this.